These are where the fan shroud attaches on the bottom and the top. The new radiator doesn't have the clips that has the retaining nut built in, so you'll need to remove these and install on the new radiator prior to reinstallation. On the end of the transmission lines that go into the radiator are these little rubber O-rings. Might as well take it off and replace these while you're at it. No sense putting it all back together and find out that now you have a transmission leak. These are just little O-rings that can be purchased at any automotive parts store. And something else to look at while you're here is your serpentine belt. Mine was just replaced not too long ago, so mine's in pretty good shape, but as long as you got everything torn apart this far, might as well fix everything if it needs to be replaced now rather than coming back in a few months and having to replace it. Serpentine belt is only about $18 to $25 depending on the model or your parts store. If you're going to replace it, this is the tensioner that you put a socket on that and release the tension and the belt comes off. I'm not going to go into detail on how that comes apart. As you can see, last week I just replaced the water pump and I also replaced the top radiator hose. So I'm not having much luck this week, but after this radiator gets put back in, and I found out that the electrical fan is no good, so I'm on my way back to the parts store to see how much it's going to cost for an electric fan. Once you have the radiator and the cooler all secure and the bottom shroud, the next step is to reinstall the radiator overflow, combination fan shroud, and window washer unit. You just got to kind of wiggle it in, and remember there's some two 10mm bolts that hold it in place up on the top, and you can get to it using a 6-inch. Once you have the overflow radiator fan shroud securely in place with the two 10mm bolts, the next step is to reconnect these three plugs, and hopefully you marked them or you know where they belong. And this one, it has two windshield washer pumps, one for the front, one for the rear. So what I did was I looped a hose from one of the pump to the second pump, so I'll just disconnect those and reposition them the way they're supposed to be. Okay, we're coming down to the end. What we've done is we've installed the 8 bolts, one in the front, 2 in the back, 2 right there, 3 on the other side. Attached all those, attached the connections for the window washer and the water temperature sensor. Started to install the air dams in the front and reinstalled the radiator bolts into the crossbar. All that's left is to reinstall the upper radiator hose, attach the overflow hose, and start filling it up with water, and finally reconnect the battery cable. As you start to put it back together and add antifreeze, either by the 50-50 premix or by the full strength and mix it yourself. The full strength is more cost effective. You just have to remember to mix it 50-50 with water. Do not add 100% antifreeze. It will not work. And if you only add water, it will overheat too easily. So be sure and fill it up 50-50 with antifreeze. Also, once you've started it, you're going to have to check your transmission fluid, because there will be the fluid that was left in the transmission cooler on the side of the radiator, which could be as much as a quart. So let your engine get up to operating temperature and be sure and check your transmission fluid. On this particular model, it has a purge valve on it. Once you start the engine and you see that you've got air bubbles coming up out of the radiator, you can go ahead and seal up the system and then take this plug out, it allows the air bubbles to escape, making less of a mess. Once you've got the system purged, do it 3 times. Do it the first time that you initially refill it, drive it, let it get up to operating temperature. Be sure and put your dash temperature all the way to hot, because there is a bypass for the water heater that's back over there that could end up with air in the lines as well. So let the system completely fill up, get hot, let it cool down, purge the air out of this purge port, and do it 3 times and it should be good to go. Last thing I need to do is clean the battery terminal again. I did have it cleaned the last time I replaced the heater hose, but that antifreeze that was spraying out there ate away all of the protective coating, so I'll need to redo it again. Good luck on your endeavors, and I hope you found this video to be helpful.